It's market update time. Let's get straight into it. Do not place a trade based in this video. This monkey, this son of a gun, this Australian from down under has no idea what he's talking about. Click on that. Click on that close button right now. Guys, don't place a trade based in this video. I am not telling you buy or sell anything in this video, okay? Because I have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. I'm just going to share with you what I'm seeing on the screen. All right, guys, if you'd like to get some education and also some coaching and stuff like that, free education, so on and so forth, links in the description. Let's get straight into today's video. What happened with the Dow Jones? Now, the Dow Jones, what's happening with that? We're actually squeezing up and still squeezing up, right, into that triangle pattern. Guys, the Dow Jones is... We're seeing a lot of weakness in the Dow Jones compared to the other markets. We really are. And if I take everything off the screen now, this Dow Jones here is very weak, guys. And I'm telling you right now, it's really, yeah. I don't know, guys. I gotta let me close my window. Woo! I have a really just yeah. I have a sort of a feeling, guys, that this here it's really weak, and I'm thinking that we're like if. See, my thoughts are, and I've got to keep telling myself, throw those thoughts out the window. But what I'm seeing right now, guys, compared to the S&P and the Nasdaq, is that the Dow Jones is showing a lot of weakness. And I actually do see that the Dow Jones is squeezing up into this triangle pattern right now, as you can see, right? This big triangle pattern squeezing up. So I do actually see that, depending on what actually happens with the Dow Jones, we don't know. The trend still is very nicely to the upside, so we definitely don't want to fight that trend. But if you see what's happening here on the Dow Jones, right? If we do start to get that nice break below, if we do get like a nice big selling off bar coming below, which I actually think will happen because we're starting to get some of these lower highs. Sellers are starting to become more in control. I do think we're likely to get that. But again, I'm not going to trade based on that. I'm not going to guess. I'm just going to wait for it. If we do get a nice, good, big selling down bar, and we start to get like a 1 or 2% down day, and we get close below here, guys, then yes, then that is the sign for me to say, okay, we're now getting ready for moving to the downside. Again, if we look at that, we look at say if we look at say the 3-month view of the Dow Jones, you can see that there. Now let's go look at the S&P. The S&P again, guys, is showing the S&P looks like it may actually want to rally and start to make new highs. But for me, guys, what I'm looking at the markets, that Dow Jones is really showing me that weakness. There's a lot more weakness in this market than what's actually meeting the eye right now, and because of that, we're actually seeing that with the Dow Jones. And if I bring up say this through here, and what is this through here? This is actually just the Dow Jones to the left and the S&P to the right, as you can see. And you can see that the Dow Jones is a lot more weaker, squeezing up into here. Where you got the S&P 500, we have, let's see, what do we have here? So we probably have, whoops, we probably have something going on through there, don't we? So there's probably something going on through there. There's a bit of a trend line or something going on through there, that line through there. So there's definitely something going on through there that's been squeezing up, right? So it's really interesting, isn't it? This actually looks like it's when you draw that pattern, there's a big triangle pattern. We actually may get a little rally to the high side, and again, that may still happen, right? Because we're still in a big overall upward trend. That's the reason why I definitely don't want to be shorting right now. But because the Dow Jones is a lot weaker than the S&P, the Dow Jones is trying to tell us something. It's trying to give us a bit of an insight to what's really happening in the markets. And you can see how this is a lot weaker right now. And now the S&P looks like it may actually want to break to the upside. Now remember, guys, just because we get an ascending triangle like this, right? An ascending triangle where the market's squeezing up through there, and we've got this resistance through here. It's an ascending triangle pattern. Just because we get that does not mean it's a bullish pattern. Right, a head and shoulders. Just because we get a head and shoulder formation does not mean it's a reversal pattern. Makes sense? Because there's so many times where I've seen this happen, and then suddenly, bam, we get a breakout to the downside, and then we get a big flush down or a big rush to the downside. Makes sense? So the Dow Jones is really showing me a lot of weakness there, guys, when it comes to that. And as you can see through there. Now, now looking at the Nasdaq, the Nasdaq is completely different, right? The Nasdaq is actually completely different. Let me delete all the trend lines off here off the Nasdaq, and let me see if I can show you what I'm seeing here on the screen. So let me just see if I can. If there's a trend line here somewhere I'm seeing with my visual eye, And I have to say something through there. I'd have to say this. It's definitely something going on through there, right? So probably I'd have to say that through there. Right, so that'll be the trend line, and plus also you have this resistance up here as well too, right? So that'll be definitely what's really going on right now, squeezing up to a triangle pattern, right? Now again, looking at the Nasdaq looks really bullish, and the Nasdaq looks like it's holding and it's getting ready for another rally to the high side. That's what the Nasdaq looks like. The S&P is the same thing. It looks like it's getting ready for rally for the upside, and that's the thing, guys. We may be getting ready. We may be getting ready for that rally to the upside, but right now, because the Dow Jones is squeezing up into this sort of triangle pattern right now, and it's making these lower highs. It's not being congruent with the other markets. And again, guys, the Dow Jones is the biggest stocks out there, right? Big stocks. So the Dow Jones is telling us something. Dow Jones is like an early warning sign. And so because the Dow Jones is not really like that, but you've got the S&P breaking up and so on and so forth, there's incongruencies between them. So obviously we'll find out what's going to happen soon. But, you know, which way will the market break? I don't know. What do you guys think? Do we actually break up and continue this bull run? Or do we actually start to reverse and start to see a bit of a you know, or actually, yeah. Question, guys. Put an answer in the chat box. A, if you think the market's going to go up, or B, if you think the market's going to go down.